Hi guys, this is the Forgetful Scholar and let's chat about books. So this week is Rodeo and Vows. Another 2-book week this week, and they're both novellas. Spoiler alert, they're both novellas. I just didn't really have a time for anything longer than that. So the first one is Rodeo, and it is Contemporary Paranormal. And it is Horsing Around by J.L. Langley. Okay, so this is a very short novella. And spoiler alert, kind of not spoiler alert. This one was really interesting because it had horse shifters in it. And like I've never really personally read a book with horse. I think there's one with a horse shifter. But so this is definitely like a rare kind of paranormal shape-shifting creature for me. So this book, the 2 main characters are Evan and Aaron, or in his horse form, known as Gus. Now Evan, we get to know pretty well. He travels with the rodeo and he performs, and he's openly gay. And a lot of the people on the rodeo aren't a fan of that. So they're pretty homophobic and they're just awful people. You know what I mean? So the book starts out, his horse passed on and he needs a replacement. So they go to the Two Spirit Ranch in New Mexico. And is it me or does everybody kind of have a reaction when a book names like a state that you've lived in or do live in? You get excited. I get super excited. It's probably really dumb, but I'm like, oh, New Mexico. I live in that state now, you know? Unfortunately, they don't really stay in New Mexico, which is a shame. I think New Mexico is really pretty. But he meets this horse, this beautiful wall-eyed horse. He has blue eyes. Named on the ranch, one of the twins. They meet one of the twins that owns the ranch, and he calls the horse Genghis Khan. So Evan just feels this connection with this horse and calls him Gus. So, spoiler alert. I mean, I don't know how much spoiler alert for a book that's like 85 pages, but spoiler alert, Gus and Aaron are the same person, and we don't really get a lot of Aaron's personality as Aaron. We get a lot of his personality as Gus. And reading it before I realized what was going on, you figure out pretty quickly, much faster than Evan does. I was like, man, Gus is hilarious. This is a fun book. Gus is really funny. I like how much character he has, you know, because as a horse, he's a hoot. A hoot. Now, I don't know, I kind of felt it was a little weird that Evan, like, bought Gus / Aaron. Like, I know shifters, you know, they have like this duality and they're animals and humans at the same time. And I've read plenty of shifter paranormal books where, you know, they purchase them and things like that. But for some reason, it struck me as a little weird. To be fair, the twin, which is Aaron's twin brother, didn't want to sell Gus to Evan, but Gus insisted, or Aaron insisted. So he was like, okay, I don't know what you're doing, but fine. But he never cashed the check. So it was a happy ending, which was really sweet. And I would say this one's about 3 stars. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. There was some parts I was like, I don't know how I feel about him like owning Gus / Aaron and stuff like that. And it takes a really long time for Evan. Well, not long time in book reading time, but long time for Evan's character. Time is passing for him to figure out something's fishy. So like every time Evan is on the phone and gonna set up a date or something, Gus takes the phone and destroys it. That's when I was like, oh, cool. Okay, I get it now. I get it. Gus is a people. That's cool. Aaron shifts into his human form and like meets Aaron in a bar and like stuff happens. Oh my gosh. There is which was like, I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess Aaron had to kind of introduce himself as Aaron somehow. I wish this book was longer because I feel like it could have been pretty drawn out and a little bit more dramatic and a lot more things happening, but I get it. It's a novella. And I think this will close out all of the cowboy books this author has written. I'm not sure. I think so. If I'm missing one, please let me know. And I'll try to check it out. Oh yes, the homophobia. Which is so messed up. Also, like, unfortunately, I think why it's so messed up is that it's realistic, and I hate it. I hate it so much. And these three cowboys hate Evan because he's gay and wanna, like, he's not a real man, and they're gonna show him a lesson, and like, yeah. And I was reading, I was like, yeah, real manly man, 3 against 1. Wow. You know what I mean? It was such a ugh. And they attack Evan pretty badly. And this is when you're like, oh, okay, totally. I 100% know what's going on now. Because they beat up Evan pretty badly in front of Gus, and Gus kind of like stampedes and gets them away from Evan. And then all of a sudden Aaron's there and takes him to the hospital and things like that. Right there, I was like, oh, horse shifter, interesting. Cool, I'm here for it. Let's go. So that happens. And then they, and Evan doesn't press charges or anything, which I thought was so stupid. Because like these things do, it escalates because these are micro penis bullies. So if you don't stand up for yourself or call the authorities, things get worse. They don't get better. Ignoring problems don't make them better. Trust me, I've learned from past experiences. So they basically kidnap Evan and Gus, and they get Evan to comply because they threaten to shoot Gus if he doesn't. They take him out to the desert, and there is a confrontation, and Gus gets shot. Evan is freaking out, and then all of a sudden, he's crying, freaking out because he loves Gus, and then all of a sudden, there's Aaron. Evan's freaking out because Evan loves, I got the names confused, my apologies. Because he loves Gus, and Gus is shot, and he's freaking out, and he's like stranded in the desert. There's no place to get help, and those 3 assholes just book it. And then Aaron's there, and he's fine. He's just like, oh, that's smart, like the Dickens. So I guess in this universe, if he's hurt in a horse form and he turns into his human form, he's okay. I would have loved more descriptions, a little bit more. Give me a little bit more. So that's when, like, Evan's like, what? Pretty much, what? So it's a happy ending, and it's pretty cute. I wanted more of it. Don't know how I feel about, like, Evan kind of owning Gus Aaron for most of the book. That was a little weird. Treating him as, like, a pet. Like, that was a little weird for me. Just because, like, I was like, dude, he's a person. Evan didn't know. You know what I mean? So that's fair. So that was a 3 stars. It was cute. It was fast. Exactly what I needed this week. Because let me tell you, the allergies are killing me this week. Oh, not a fan. Man, I don't know if you could hear it, but like I got the nasal post drip. I don't like it. So this one was a book I wasn't originally going to read, and this is Vows. I was going to read a different one, then I found out it was the 4th in the series. So I went back to the first one before I read the 4th one. And this is an author we've seen before. And this is Michele Mills, Her Alien Priest, A Monster Bite Story. She's also wrote the series Monsters Love Curvy Girls. Again, a short novella. So and this is interesting, and it kind of exists in the same universe as Monsters Love Curvy Girls, because the main alien, male, in this, Caleb, he is the same red alien, black horn, kind of devil-esque looking alien from the other book, her other series, Monsters Love Curvy Girls books. So it's in the same universe, and it's really fascinating because the author really does open up this universe, about the religions practiced on New Earth, and everything like that. This is an FM sci-fi monster slash contemporary, because technically these humans were abducted from ancient Earth and brought to alien planets, and original Earth, and they're not allowed to contact original Earth because original Earth is considered like a protected species. So original Earth timeline is like now. So they're in the same kind of time frame. It's just they live on New Earth, in like sort of this Star Trek Federal kind of alien stuff. Great descriptor. Okay, so so it starts off with Lori. I think that's how you pronounce it. Lori. She is her family's highly religious, and she kind of lives in this commune with her family, and she's plus size, and she gets shunned and kicked out because she's caught masturbating, and apparently that's a big no-no. Women are only there to procreate species. They're not supposed to enjoy sex, all this kind of thing. And I was like, okay. So she gets kicked out, and she's sent to a nunnery to serve penance. There's a mistake, and the guards sent her to this very out of the way, near in ruins chapel, where Caleb is serving as the high priest. And he is doing a vow of silence and celibacy for 5 years. Because apparently in this religion, priests and nuns don't have to be celibate. They can get married and they can have sex out of marriage. Like it's... And they worship more than one god. And when he hears how her family only worships the gods, but the male gods are higher than the female gods, he's angry because that's not how the religion's supposed to be. So it's interesting. So I thought it was fascinating, this kind of switch. He can't talk to her, he can't communicate with her, she can't, and he's supposed to be for 5 years celibate, and that way the head of the church, I forget what they called them, will help restore this monastery he lives in, because it's on the ruins and it's kind of outside of the way of the main pilgrimage. And because of his species, he smells her and knows that she's his mate right away. Per usual for these books, it's something that I'm like, alright, whatever. But what I do like about these stories is that even though the males are like, oh, she smells so good, she's my mate, there's always like a stop gap for them to get to know each other without sex. You know what I mean? Which I appreciate. So she kind of adores him because he listens to her. He's so kind. They have a lot in common. They love gardening. They love cooking, like organic food. They both are highly religious, so they have a lot of stuff in common. They both love to read, and things like that. She finds out, so there's some pilgrims that show up, and they show up because of her, because apparently Caleb has this reputation for being the monster in the mountains, mountain monastery, because he can't talk to them, and his species is scary looking. And so pilgrims show up because they heard there's a human with a universal translator in it, so it brings the pilgrims there. And through the pilgrims, she finds out about his vow. So she leaves because she doesn't want to be the reason he can't complete his holy vows. At the same time, Caleb decides to break the vows because he loves her so much and convinces the head of the church to help with the monastery. Anyway, so while he's gone for about a month, I believe about a month, she's by herself and she misses him and things like that. The guards come again and they take her to her correct placement, despite what she's saying, no, I want to stay here, all this stuff. Caleb comes in the nick of time, finds out about it, goes after her, goes to the monastery, proves to the head nun that she is to be his mate. Happy ending, This was a 3 stars for me. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I really did like it. I love how this author continuously surprises me with sort of depth and like opening up the world in these silly little stories. And I will say I found it infuriating and interesting how these guards treated her. Very dismissive, and it kind of showed me really how humans are kind of seen by these alien races. Like definitely secondhand citizens, if even that. You know, almost like a novelty. Like the pilgrims kind of treat her like a novelty. The guards were very dismissive. They didn't care what she had to say. Even though they messed up and picked up the wrong girl and put her in the wrong place, they didn't give a crap. They didn't want to listen to her. Her opinions meant nothing. And like Caleb smelled that that they didn't sexually hurt her on the way there, and that's why he let them live. But that kind of showed to me that like that wouldn't be unusual. Like he had to check almost. You know what I mean? So it was heartbreaking and fascinating. So that was my week. I really enjoyed myself and exactly what I needed. Just some fun, fast books to get me through like the sinus pressure headaches and stuff like that. So, don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.